Let's finish here by talking transfers. Obviously, just over a week until that window slams shut. Overall question then, Melissa, who's going to be the most busiest in this last week or so?
Who needs to be the busiest?
Yeah.
It's probably Tottenham, because Ange Postecoglou, I think, said they're playing with fire if they don't act. I know they're working on a few things behind the scenes. Obviously, big question as well has been, will Arsenal get a forward? And I think there's every intention to do so. And then you have Manchester United, where a load of things are up in the air, and it's a load of important things.
Yeah, I was interested. You mentioned Arsenal there, because Arteta was almost crying out for help, it felt, in the week. You know, no goals, this, that and the other. He was sort of saying, how much are they missing Edu? Because this will be the first window that they've had without him.
Yeah, they had a symbiotic relationship, didn't they? As sporting directors, a good piece by Neil Moxley in the Mail. Hit me for that one. The Mirror today, about sporting directors and the relationships that they have with good managers. And they really did have a very good relationship. So it'd be very interesting to see what they come up with, given the need being so pressing for Arsenal ahead of the transfer deadline. I don't think they can win the league without a striker this season, because Liverpool have too many options.
Their identification and the targets they would have gone for would be the same now as if Edu was there. The difference is the negotiation and the ability to close a deal, and the warmth and stuff that Edu exudes, and the way he sells Arsenal. Yeah,
it's fascinating, isn't it? And I think Arteta's also part of that as well, the way that he sells the club and the way that he has that dynamic with the players that he wants to bring on board. In terms of Garnacho, where are we with him at the moment? Because it's a conundrum for them. He's been arguably one of their best players, and Manchester United are in need of good players, and yet that man looks like he could be heading out the door.
Yeah. Garnacho never actually had the intention, or it wasn't a thought, to leave Manchester United in this window. Then there were reports that the club would consider selling him because he'd be banked as pure profit, and so for the right price he could solve a lot of financial woes. And after those reports, his representatives received a bunch of inquiries about him, and so then they thought, well, he's got to consider his options and his long-term future, because if they're willing to sell him at the right price, is he really part of Ruben Amorim's plans? I think what he's actually done is, over the last few games, he's shown a willingness to adapt. He's improved his defensive duties. So I do think that he's showing that if he stays, he can find a way to work in Amorim's system, which is the opposite of Marcus Rashford, because they were both dropped from that squad against Manchester City for Amorim not being happy with their professionalism. Rashford's not been involved since. He was an unused substitute to make up the numbers once. But Garnacho, Amorim's happy with what he's seen from him and has included him and played him and has spoken quite highly of him. Napoli and Chelsea interested in him. Napoli haven't engaged United about him yet. Chelsea haven't engaged United about him yet. Napoli think he's too expensive, so are considering other options. It's one that could be decided quite late on in the window.
It's interesting about his worth, because I know Paul Merson was sort of saying yesterday about what he felt Garnacho was worth in terms of millions. But what do you think of the situation of him possibly even going? Because, like I say, his statistics show that actually he's a really valuable player for them.
Yes, it'll be interesting to see the justification, because here's the thing. If he's good enough for Chelsea, why is he not good enough for Manchester United? Why are you not looking at other players that you would sacrifice? Now, the
Chelsea
argument...
have other issues that they need to solve, so why are they even looking at Garnacho?
I totally agree. I think as far as Garnacho is concerned, £70 million, quite justifiably, United turned their noses up at Jared Branthwaite when Everton quoted him £70 million for that defender, and they've been vindicated on that. I'm not so sure that Garnacho is £70 million worth of player, and it's an indication as to why some clubs look abroad instead of staying in this country. He's a good player, he's going to get even better, but £70 million, that's a whole lot of money.
But also, it's a week left. They sell Garnacho, what are they going to do? That's a vacuum, unless they do this swap deal with Nkunku.
And there's a really good piece by, I think it's Sam, who talks about the fact that they're going to leave themselves in a little bit of a conundrum up front if they were to surrender a player who could slot into the system Amorim's trying to play.
Yeah, it's fascinating. Well, it'll all end, of course, on transfer deadline day, and we will bring you the latest throughout the...
What Riccardo Calafiori said to his teammates about Arsenal's goal and Miles Lewis-Skelly's red card reaction. On Saturday afternoon, Riccardo Calafiori and Miles Lewis-Skelly were making headlines following Arsenal's narrow 1-0 victory over Wolves at Molineux. This late win could prove pivotal for Arsenal's hopes as the Premier League season unfolds. With Miles Lewis-Skelly receiving a controversial red card just before half-time, leaving the team down to 10 men, many feared Arsenal might drop points. However, a stunning finish from Calafiori in the 74th minute changed the narrative. Calafiori came on at half-time for Ethan Nwaneri as Mikel Arteta adjusted his lineup after the red card incident. Taking over Lewis-Skelly's left-back position, Calafiori found himself lurking just outside the Wolves' box when Gabriel Martinelli seized possession on the right flank. Making a clever run into the area, he received a perfectly timed pass after Nelson Semedo's attempted clearance fell to him. With finesse, the 22-year-old slotted the ball into the far corner with his left foot. It was a magnificent strike, one that Arteta humorously likened to Calafiori's previous goal against Man City. Ricky can create those magical moments, and he did it again today, Arteta said in his post-match press conference. I'm thrilled that whoever steps on the pitch embodies that spirit to make things happen. Calafiori's second goal for Arsenal showcases his growing impact on the team's attacking play. Just as he did after scoring against Man City in September, he sprinted over to Arteta and the coaching staff to celebrate the moment. In a light-hearted post-match chat with Opta Sport, Calafiori joked with his teammates about his knack for scoring spectacular goals. I told them, laughing, that I can only score like this. I need to focus on easier things. It's my job, you know. After first half of the season marred by injuries, Calafiori hopes his winning goal at Wolves signals a turning point. He is eager for more opportunities, with the next match against Girona on Wednesday and a showdown against Man City at the Emirates next Sunday. Meanwhile, Lewis-Skelly is crossing his fingers that he can participate against Pep Guardiola's side and avoid suspension due to the contentious red card for taking down Matt Doherty, a decision that has stirred significant debate. Arteta expressed his hope for a fair resolution regarding Lewis-Skelly's situation. I think it's so clear that we shouldn't even need to comment on it, he stated in his post-match remarks. I hope the right decision is made moving forward. Before the red card, Lewis-Skelly had been a standout performer for Arsenal, displaying impressive skill and creating opportunities, including a brilliant pass to Declan Rice in the penalty area. Instead of receiving accolades for his performance, he found himself at the centre of controversy. Calafiori shared his thoughts on the red card, emphasising that it clearly wasn't warranted. From the bench, it was obvious it wasn't a red card, he told Opta Sport. I saw him at half-time, and he was so disappointed. But in the end, we won, so it's all good. He added, he was upset, but now he's happy because we got the win. He's a great player and a good guy, and we're all here to support him. Now, Arsenal awaits clarity on the situation surrounding Lewis-Skelly. Whether it's Lewis-Skelly or Calafiori lining up against Man City next weekend, Arteta has two exceptional players ready to rise to the occasion, as demonstrated in their crucial victory at Molineux.